Hi Brian, great to have you at the OPEX Exchange. Would you mind telling me a bit about yourself and your role at Walgreens?
So I'm the head of org development and change management for Walgreens. So you ask 10 different people to define org development, you usually get 12 different answers. For us, I've got responsibility for business readiness, which is kind of the overall state of the critical capabilities that we need to land our strategy. I've got change management, I've got learning and development, I've got leadership development, and then we have a small center of excellence that builds Lean Six Sigma capability also. So basically all the levers you need to pull to build capability for the company.
In your opinion, Brian, what is the key to achieving successful business transformation?
Humanity, honestly. It's two things, actually. The first thing is having an idea of where you want to go. We spend a lot of time just getting clear on outcomes in our organization. We try to be outcomes focused because we know that the path can change day to day, month to month, quarter to quarter, but if you're at least pointed in the same general direction of where you want to go, that's the stability that you need to get people to kind of weather all the anxiety that comes along with all that change. And the second thing, I say it tongue in cheek before, but it is people. For as much as we're talking about automation and robotics and AI and all that stuff, people still drive the world, and people are volatile and unpredictable, and the better job we do really getting people in the right mindset around what we're trying to do, where we're trying to go, and get them to want to go there instead of dragging them kicking and screaming there because we force them to, the better the journey usually ends up for whatever it is.
Have you seen a need for leaders to lead in ways that they haven't done before in order to drive this new level of transformation that we're seeing?
Yeah, you have to. I think especially a lot of leaders who spent a lot of time in their current role or in the companies that they're with were kind of brought up and grew up in a different time and different expectation as far as how people want to be engaged at work. And so we've seen a transformation in our own leaders, especially in our field population over the last few years, where it's become much more about empowerment and helping people really feel a sense of ownership over what's happening in the company, and then actually giving them that ownership, not just in name only, but actually letting them own decision-making rights that they might not have been able to own 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. But then also to own accountability and responsibility for the metrics and the KPIs that dictate success. And sometimes it's a little uneasy for folks because there's risk inherently associated with that, and there's a little bit of uncertainty around kind of throwing somebody in the fire and you're not quite sure how they're going to come out, and striking that balance between coaching and guiding people and driving results and being a leader, but at the same time giving folks the space to explore and maybe fail a little bit is not necessarily always the way that we've grown leaders in this country in particular. So I've seen a lot of leaders who have made that adjustment. And it's a journey typically, but when they make it, the results are exponentially better than the old command control, tell do kind of leadership style.
So Brian, what types of skills, strengths, or styles have you seen or displayed that have been successful?
Authenticity is the biggest one. I think that's the key to that leadership style is really being able to just be a human being. I think for a long time, being a leader was seen as you had to be the perfect person with all the right answers, and you could never say anything wrong or do anything wrong. And it's just not realistic. We're all people at the end of the day, and we're all humans. And the fact that we can show that and be vulnerable with somebody else it creates a connection with another human being, because we all feel that. It's one of our biggest shared experiences. So when we drop those walls a little bit and we're able to admit that maybe we're not 100% on board with something yet, or that we have questions of our own, but we're willing to go on this journey together, then people don't feel as bad about expressing their own questions or their own concerns. And just the small personal aspect of that relationship allows us to lean back on something when the work might go astray, or when something just feels like it's spinning out of control. There's something more solid that we can latch onto, and it's that sense of personal relationship that carries us through the day.
Brian, what would you say is harder and why? Getting management on board or getting the rest of the company bought into change?
I would say both are equally hard, to be honest. A lot of it depends on your organization as well. If you have a management team who recognizes the importance of people and recognizes the magnitude of the change that they're going through, it gets a little bit easier to get them on board with what needs to happen. I'm actually very fortunate in that my organization, we have an amazing team of leaders that fully recognizes what it takes to drive change successfully in a large corporation like ours. So for me, it's probably just a little bit more difficult to get the full organization on board because of our size. We've got 220,000 employees spread across the country, and we're a highly complex matrixed organization. So there's all kinds of nuance in that. And driving change and driving transformation can't be done with just one big peanut butter stroke. Everybody's coming at it from a different point of view. Everybody has different concerns. They're going to evolve at different paces. And so managing that and keeping our finger on the pulse of that is a challenge just from the pure size and scale of it.
So with that being said, what would you say is the most rewarding? Getting management or getting the rest of the company?
I think it's the rest of the company. I'm a big people guy, right? And so there's nothing quite like a grassroots groundswell movement, especially through a large organization. In fact, it's one of the things that as people or humans, we like to feel like we're a part of something bigger than ourselves. So when we start to feel that, there's a whole new level of energy that enters the conversation in the room that wasn't there before. So if you can inspire that, and if you can just kind of take that boulder and just tick it down the hill, and then you start watching it roll, there's nothing like that to me. That's a feeling that you just walk away at the end of the day feeling like you're on cloud nine, like you actually made a difference in somebody's lives, which at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all kind of shooting for?
What are you hoping to achieve in the next 12 months with Walgreens in terms of your business change management strategy?
Two big things actually. We're really focused on building change capability for the org. So we've actually evolved a little bit beyond the change management conversation itself, which we see as extremely valuable, but a very niche, like a tactical discipline that you apply. We're trying to think about how do we just get the organization to be able to change more and change faster and change better. And there's all kinds of different levers you have to pull to do that. But the two that we're most focused on in the upcoming year are one, becoming more capability focused. So, I think traditionally in big companies you see a lot of project by project by project by project by project mentality. So we're scorecarding red, yellow, green against projects, and we're tracking budget against projects, and we're tracking our resource allocation against projects. And that's all fine and good, but there's a bigger picture that all those projects ladder up to. We are trying very hard to stay in that space. We're working with our leaders to look at that picture. So, what does this company need to look like 3 to 5 years from now? What does your business unit need to look like 3 to 5 years from now? How do you need to evolve? What are the critical capabilities? What do you need to be able to do really well in your area of the business to play that role? And how mature is that capability today? And how do we need to evolve those over the next few years? And that then drives your portfolio of projects. But so we're trying to really establish that conversation as foundational to the way we do business and where we choose to make our investments and really spend our time and allocate our people and do all that kind of stuff. That's the first big thing. The second big thing is getting everybody on board with their responsibility with driving the execution side of change. So when it comes to change management itself, we're kind of, in a more provocative way, we're trying to eliminate the term change management from the business. We want to just make it a fundamental part of how we stand up projects. Our change model is pretty simple. We ask 8 basic questions, and if you can answer those 8 questions, we feel you're in pretty good shape to drive that work successfully. So we just want to make sure that those 8 questions are showing up in our project management methodology, in our agile product development methodology, like all the different mechanisms we're going to use to develop products and services and get them into the market. We want change management seamlessly integrated into that, so we're not even saying what's our change management plan or where's our change management person. We just want it to be part of the work and let everybody take ownership over that so that we succeed or fail as an organization. And we're good with the fact that might make us irrelevant at the end of the day. In fact, it excites us to get to a point at someday where the organization, for the most part, is saying, we've got this, we've heard you, leave us alone and go do something else because we're good with this. Right? So that's really the 2 things we're focused on most.
Thank you very much, Brian. That's been absolutely brilliant, and thank you for joining us at the OPEX Exchange.
Happy to be here. Thanks.